screw this up again.
Yes, don't forget this time.
You good, bro. You good.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Gaming in 2024 Retrospective podcast. I am joined today by three lovely guests for tonight as we look back on 2024 and the year, as well as the year and the amount of games, releases, and what we're looking forward to in this year for 2025. So, starting off, I will introduce everyone. So, starting off with my good friend Oath, Stevie Wallace.
Hello, my name is Stevie, or Oath, whichever you prefer. I am an amateur voice actress and pretty small content creator. Been a pretty good friend of Tara's for a good long while now, and also co-director and co-writer of a bridge series that we've been doing for a little bit as well. So good to be back.
Hey, thank you. And second, we have Jacer Maru.
Hello. Like we said, as Jacer Morrow. You can say Jacer Morrow, either or works. I do a variety of things here and there, anything stemming from some amateur voice stuff to just streaming in general. And a buddy of mine as well as Tara, always been helping me out with also recommendations as well. So excited to basically be back on this.
Thank you, Jacer. And last but not least, we have the wonderful AdamCrow Gaming.
hello. So I am AdamCrow, and I've actually done some amateur voice work myself in the past, but I've kind of taken a break from that to do streaming. I've done the whole Twitch streaming thing for a couple of years now. I actually just hit affiliate last year, which I was really excited about. And also I met Yo here through D&D, which is an amazing time. We actually got wound up in a little love triangle between our characters, which was very thrilling for a while. And he invited me on here, and I was like, all right, cool. I've played a couple games from 2024. I am more than down to chat.
Thank you, man. So I think 2023 in particular was a pretty good year, and going into 2024 was like kind of gonna be like a tough act to follow, in my opinion. Like there was a lot of good stuff going into 2023, and then going into 2024 it's felt like there was probably gonna be some stiff competition. But what was some of your most anticipated games going into 2024 specifically, if you can remember?
Excuse me. I would say that I think we knew in 2023 that Persona 3 Reload was pretty much was officially finally confirmed to be a thing. So I was very much looking forward to playing that and finally playing Persona 3 in particular for the first time in general.
Mm-hmm. That I would agree with that. Persona 3 Reload was kind of a thing that was mostly rumored in 2020 for a few years up until it was officially announced, and then going into 2024 it was like the game that I was most anticipating as well. And what about you, Jacer? Did you have a particular title that you have in mind when going into the year?
In terms of like things that I've tried and also we're looking very excited for, maybe some titles that I've mostly leaned towards playing with others. I think what was that game called? Once Human. It was a strange kind of like game at the time that I was like mentioned way before, and then it kind of dropped off for a little while, and once it kind of made its return again, it was like this third person survival thing. It was very strange, but it had like a very interesting kind of premise with the whole apocalyptic and like these strange anomalies kind of occurring, and I think I enjoyed it way more than I thought I did. I was like, oh, cool game with some maybe survival stuff here and there. I can get behind all of that. And actually playing it and getting into like dumb, silly scenarios, to me, I think like was surprisingly really fun. And admittedly, I might have put too much time into that game, but it's like another one for me when it comes to like Helldivers as well. Super exciting. Um, a lot of the ones that I've like still yet to try, I've heard that were pretty good. But in particular to those two, I think those were like quite the most fun I've had in terms of games that have been released. So maybe I guess you can kind of throw in Marvel Rivals. I think that came out really late into December.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm pretty happy with how the game is. I mean, I did play a lot of like Overwatch. It's basically Overwatch, but with Marvel characters, and it's surprisingly really fun too. I think games that have to do with just with cooperative and all that, I think I've mostly just been leaning into towards, and yeah, I think those are mostly the ones that I've been super excited for, to be honest.
Fair enough. And lastly, was there something that you were looking forward to when going into 2024, Adam?
Well, I didn't know it was coming out in 2024 until earlier on in the year. But honestly, my most anticipated turned out to be my best of, because I've been following it for a while. I actually played it a couple years back at Too Many Games when it was just a demo at an indie booth, and it was called #Blood, BULD, and it is this insane 2D Zelda-like with animation in the style of like early Saturday morning cartoons. We're talking Dexter's Laboratory, Powerpuff Girls. And all the while, in this crazy retro art style, you are killing zombies with the most hilarious death animations and such witty humor, taking shots at all kinds of stuff, like high school years, a lot of digs at social media. I mean, one of your main enemies is a Steve Jobs lookalike. It was just such a fun and charming game, and yeah, I knew when it was announced. I was like, okay, I gotta play this game, and I gotta stream it, and this is gonna be my game of the year. And I guess spoilers, but it was.
That sounds amazing, actually.
That really does actually sound amazing. Is it out right now, or is it still like?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's out. I think it's for PC, Switch, Xbox. I don't know about PlayStation, but I'm pretty sure it's very accessible. Very accessible.
Gotcha. All right, so now let's switch gears into stuff that we did play in 2024, but we're gonna start with games that we played in 2024 but weren't released in 2024. So specifically games that we played in the year that weren't released within the year, obviously. So like backlog stuff, games that you really wanted to try out, something from like a previous year that you haven't tried before. So I'm gonna start off with that I played a lot of Yakuza specifically during this period of time, and that I played Yakuza 5 especially, as that was like I just finished Yakuza 4 like the year prior in 2023, and then going into Yakuza 5 was something that I really liked. It's a very, very big game, and I've yet to finish it. I'm still in the middle of doing some stuff with the Haruka side content, but it's a really very densely packed Yakuza game that I actually really did enjoy. I actually also, I'm not sure if you guys also like kept up with this when this was developing, but have you heard of have you heard of like how Piglet's Big Game got a big resurgence in the year?
I did not.
Okay.
I think you briefly told me about it.
Okay, so there was this Winnie the Pooh game that was released on PlayStation 2 and GameCubes, that was released specifically to tie into the Piglet's Big Movie film, if you guys remember that one.
Oh, now I remember. I think you were telling me about that in the D&D server.
Yeah. So that game got a kind of a big resurgence recently, and in like around October, November-ish, because it was like it was kind of the game tie-in didn't really have a lot to do with the movie itself. It was more of a standalone adventure that saw Piglet going through his friends' dreams, and they were all like, it was basically a very family-friendly Resident Evil video game for baby's first Silent Hill or Resident Evil, essentially. It was
More so than Luigi's Mansion.
yeah, it was also modeled after like Luigi's Mansion 2. It's like the idea is that it's kind of a horror comedy where you relieve the tension of the scares by making the way you solve the problem comedic in a way. I actually recently finished it, and I thought it was actually a pretty endearing video game because one, Piglet is like is kind of like a sort of anxious, anxiety-inducing character for most of his life. So seeing him kind of go like through a small character arc where he goes and saves his friends is actually really heartwarming, to be honest.
As you would expect a Pooh game to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's really fun. It actually got me to also do I also had like this game's like successor, Winnie the Pooh's Rumbly Tumbly Adventure.
Nice.
It's like it was kind of a nostalgic trip that I went back to do as well. And then I'm also doing some other stuff. I played through like some of the last two Uncharted games, Uncharted 4 and The Lost Legacy. I'm still trying to finish those up. But one of the bigger games that I finished in the last year was also Persona 5 Tactica, which is like the Persona 5 tactical spin-off. And I thought it was like a really good spin-off that was on par with some of the mainline games in terms of its story, because it's really, really refreshing to see the characters, like specifically the storyline that it's telling is very spoiler heavy, so I won't go too much into it, but it has a lot of cathartic beats that really made me feel like, yeah, this is really good. This is a really good Persona game.
Nice.
Yeah. And I'm going to pass the mic around to someone else so that I'm not yapping. So was there a game that you guys played in 2024 that wasn't released in 2024 that you guys really thought was really cool?
Most definitely Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh yeah.
I missed out on it last year because my streaming schedule is all kinds of hectic. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna make a point to play it. I'm gonna see why the hell everyone's so obsessive with it. I'm just like, whoa, okay, yeah, this is game of the year material, all right. to the point where I actually wound up playing it before I wound up doing my first ever D&D campaign, so it actually did help. It was kind of like training wheels for me for when I actually went to D&D. So yeah, the timing could not have been more perfect.
Was there
And of course,
anything in particular that stood out specifically about Baldur's Gate 3?
Just the performances. I mean, Neil Newbon and Samantha Bayard in particular. Oh my god, I think that's like, it takes a lot for me to cry at a video game. Like the last time that really happened for me was Telltale's The Walking Dead, for obvious reasons if you play that game. But oh my god, seeing the most emotional moments during the companion quests for both Astarion and Karlach. Not that the other companions are bad by any means. They are all fan-bloody-tastic. But just those two in particular, I was like, whoa, someone get these people even more awards. And the cast is amazing in real life, too. I actually have met Neil Newbon and Samantha Bayard and Maggie Robinson, the voice actress for Orin the Red, one of the villains. And oh god, they're such sweethearts. Absolutely amazing people. And yeah, they deserve every ounce of fame that they got from this game. It's just the people surrounding it and the game itself, just absolutely phenomenal.
Very, very good, man. What about you, Jacer? Any particular title that stuck out to you that you played that wasn't from 2024?
I definitely was going to say Baldur's Gate because when I started it, it was supposed to be just a thing I do with the boys. We get like a group of 4, and I'll say right now, if you play with people, it is so chaotic. And if it's anything like you guys are familiar with D&D, it is absolutely just it can go any way, and the game lets you especially play it however you like. Obviously, it's like one of the games that I very much enjoyed. It started really late because I was like, I don't think this was gonna be whatever. I played a little bit of what was the one before that? The Divinity.
Yeah,
Lost
yeah.
Yep.
2, and that's what got me into it. I'm like, you know what? If it's similar, I'll do it. And oh man, I'm more upset I didn't do it sooner. I think like everyone else is like, and it, like you couldn't expect, especially with everybody just giving it the best performance. Obviously, like they said like Adam said earlier, that's definitely up there. A game I also for some reason enjoyed a lot more than I like to admit though is Dave the Diver. I would be playing this either on or off stream, but it's literally you just running a sushi restaurant, and the premise is very simple: collect different kinds of fishes, and you basically use that for your restaurant. But the execution is very bizarre because you're just like, oh, it's just a simple like pixel, or not pixel, like a, it's a very like side scroll ish. You dive down, get your fish, whatever. But
Pixel
it gets
art,
more,
right?
yeah, pixel art, and it gets really, really crazy with the things, with the mini games that you kind of end up doing, the the ways you go about catching certain fishes. They give you so much more tools and everything, to the point where like even the cutscenes when you're preparing dishes, upgrading your different like recipes, they all have such a wacky tobacky kind of like everyone just is having fun doing it. Bang Cho, the head chef, I love that character so much. He has like, you can tell every character, it's not really voiced, but everyone just has so much like personality in there. Even to some of the very strange characters. Like if you know some of the weapons upgrade, you're like, okay, let me look at this, and then there's a character for that. Very otaku. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Very big otaku.
Nice.
He has a whole personality to go along with it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I mean, if it's a game people are interested in, I highly like. I love like kind of most games that are just chaotic and just, you play with friends, whatever. This one's one of the only ones that is very different, and I honestly am very happy that I picked it up. Admittedly, though, I heard about a lot of the crossovers that it did, and one of the big ones was Godzilla. It did a crossover where they had a whole separate thing with that, and I'm like, you know what? I have to play it, and I've just been very excited. I had so much fun with it. I wish I can have like a first time remembering like seeing everything, because it plays very pixel art, but it has a lot of like 3D stuff attached to it, and it's like weird how it works, but it does it so well, and it just feels like a casual game, and honestly, it was a surprising hit for me that I really, really enjoyed. It did other crossovers with like Dredge, if I'm not mistaken, which is another like fishing. I think it's called Dredge. I remember they did
Yeah.
a few. But
I
it was a
remember
lot
a
of fun
f-
games.
I remember a few like crossovers that were announced earlier in 2024. I don't remember, but that does kind of add up.
Yeah, and like that one was just super like implemented really well. Like it's like one thing when they do like silly things when I give cosmetics or whatever, and hey, the cool crossover. Like I think Fall Guys did with like Godzilla. I'm a big fan of like Godzilla, but the whole thing it did made its own like story, made its whole like encounters and everything. It was chef's kiss. It was like it was one of my favorites, honestly. I think that one was like such a weird game that I didn't actually think I would enjoy it as much as I did. And honestly, that was a big favorite of mine that I did 2024.
Okay, so you explaining the gameplay loop, I never would have thought that was actually what Dave the Diver was about, because it is a game that I've heard about, but it's like kind of just flew under my radar so much. So I'm glad to hear that. I think I'll give that a shot later this year.
Oh,
yeah,
Sam,
I
Sam.
think it's right.
And Stevie, did you have a title that you particularly liked in 2024 that that you played in 2024 that wasn't from this year, from the year?
Yeah, so just going off kind of initially, like pretty much what you guys already mentioned briefly. So P5T, just real quick, like genuinely my favorite spinoff of the Persona series that I have played so far. I love the tactics gameplay. I love the new characters that were introduced in it, and in terms of story, the big plot twist made me go, "Whoa!" And yeah, it's such a genuinely good game. I really had a good time with it. Baldur's Gate 3, I've been playing it all year with a friend of mine from work, and just having a few laps and a few moments of going, "Uh-oh. Why did this happen the way it did?" Especially in our current evil playthrough. Even though we're supposed to be evil, there's still moments of it wasn't supposed to be, it wasn't supposed to happen like that, But yeah, genuinely, Baldur's Gate 3 has genuinely been a really good multiplayer experience for me, and will definitely keep playing, especially with the upcoming patch 8 here in the next few months. Looking forward to that. Also, briefly, Yakuza. My husband and I finally started our Yakuza journey.
Yeah.
I am still a Yakuza virgin, unfortunately.
I'm gonna say it. So I'm gonna keep saying it, but people really should play these games.
Yes. We played Yakuza 0. Kind of toward the latter half of the year. We just finished it mid-December. Genuinely good time with that too. I knew it was a big game, but I didn't realize truly how big of a game it actually was until we saw our end results screen and saw that we only finished 15% of the game.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of stuff to do in just those two cities.
Yeah. Honestly. But kind of adding a new title to the mix here. Also played this at the end of the year. Very short but very beautiful experience. That is Greece. So this game has been on my backlog pretty much since I very first gifted. I've been gifted my Nintendo Switch in 2018. And it's kind of hard to really talk about this game without saying the deeper notes of it. That's kind of spoiler-ish. But it's visually a very beautiful game. It's kind of like I don't know if a 2D platformer would be the proper description in terms of genre, but it is 2D. All the graphics, are kind of like hand-painted in a way. Very beautiful soundtrack. And just very colorful and very pretty. And a lot of good ways to move around in that game as well. And it's just basically you play as a girl who lost her voice, also named Greece, and you kind of go on a journey to get your voice back and make a few friends along the way as well. And once again, there's deeper messages within, but highly recommend. And if you have like half a day to kill, that's definitely a game to go through. It's
Nice.
God, it's beautiful.
Okay, so it's Greece, Gris. Okay, this one has been
Correct.
this one's been on my wish list. I've been really wanting to play this one a lot.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and it's only, I want to say it's only about 4 hours.
That sounds
Not bad. Not
that
bad
sounds
at
about
all.
right, yeah.
Mhm.
But since you did bring up backlog, I that actually does segue into our next topic pretty well, actually.
Oh, there we go.
Hey!
The
So,
dreaded backlog.
yes, what is a game from the backlog that you've tackled in 2024? I want to start with this game that I've had for a long time that I actually really wanted to play in full for the longest time. Sonic Battle on the Game Boy Advance.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Oh, I was actually just reminded of that today, actually.
Really?
Yeah, it was actually funny. Like, majority of my day, prior to hopping on my computer for D&D session that I just had today, and of course, hopping on for this stream, I've, been spending the majority of the day documenting all the games that I own. And, when I was checking to see if what games do I have that are complete in bots, one of my own Sonic games, I want to say it was either one of the Adventures or Heroes, had a bit of an advertisement for battles.
Okay. Yeah, that would make sense. I feel like it would be Heroes because Sonic Battle came out about a few months before Heroes specifically. But Sonic Battle, I actually really wanted to play this for the longest time. I've never had the opportunity to play it in full. However, Sonic X Shadow Generations Dark Beginnings, the animation prequel to Sonic X Shadow Generations, which released this year, had a character that is a very integral part of the story, specifically a Merle. It's essentially the player character robot that takes place in that is essentially the protagonist of Sonic Battle, and actually getting to play through that character's journey specifically and go through the story, which is probably one of the more emotionally in-depth stories in a Sonic game that I've ever played, which is really, I wouldn't say strange because I have like nostalgic memories of watching this game watching game playthroughs of this on YouTube back in good old 2008, and it was always a game in the back of my mind that I always wanted to play. I never got a copy until like about 2 years ago, and then I recently in 2024 I did some modifications on the cartridge that I got. I got the ROM off of it so I could play through it using a specific translation mod because the original script was kind of mangled a little bit in my opinion. So getting to re-experience a lot of it with a different take on the a different take on the translation and some of the some of it being cleaned up, it was like really exciting to play. Although I will say the gameplay hasn't aged quite as well as I thought it would, because for one, it's also on the GBA and it's kind of limited, but also there's a whole the AI is also really friggin' tough.
Oh no.
Yeah, in later stages, absolutely
kind of a difficult thing to get through. Although I am glad I had the cheat code. Like I was able to put in some of the cheat codes for for the end game that actually helped get through some of the final bosses specifically.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and yeah, the final boss of that game. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Although another game that I actually did finish, or I haven't finished yet, but I am going through very slowly, is the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles on the Switch. It's the Japanese Britain Ace Attorney spin-off that has the character takes place in the Meiji period specifically, and I'm about halfway through the first game, so I'm hoping to get through that and finish that sometime this year.
Nice.
So what about backlogs for everyone? Let's start with Jacer this time. Was there a game on their backlog that you finished, or at least tackled?
I haven't definitely going through all the Yakuza series. When I finally finished 5, actually, when was it? November?
Ah, very good.
Yeah, it was like fairly recent, but I've been going through each of those games as fast as not as fast, but as like much as I can. With 5 being obviously the longest, and me understanding that like, at least going through it, I get pretty far into the whole story and realizing I can know bits and pieces. Yeah, there's definitely a lot to the game, and as much as I want to try to get through everything, there's just too much in there. But I got to a good extent of completing it finally, and I'm pretty satisfied with how everything sort of got tied up together. I think most of the Yakuza games for me, I definitely want to keep going. Taking a break now because hopefully with the release of that other game that's coming out with us soon, the Pirate Adventure or such.
I can't wait to talk about that.
That does look insane.
I can't wait to talk about that later.
But yeah, excited to just basically get to that point, hopefully soon. But besides the Yakuza games, I think one weird game that I was not also a fan of because of the initial horror-esque title onto it. For the record, not a great fan of horror games in general, but Darkwood is quite an old game. I think 2014 was released, but I've always said I was going to tackle it because there was some weird kind of thing about the game that I just found fascinating. Because without going too into, because I ended up kind of falling an enjoyment, getting an enjoyment out of the whole story side of things of it as well, and its artistic choice that it does with certain things and characters. Oh, it is quite nightmare fuel, honestly. Whereas some characters you think are not as bad as they are, the game takes quite a bit for you to be like, well, I should have learned my lesson. If one thing didn't work, the other thing won't work. It's basically a survival, top down. There's like elements of like horror where like you can kind of be by your own lonesome, and next thing you notice, you can get bombarded with like monstrous creatures and such. But the mechanics of it is that eventually you're gonna have to like bunker down for the night. You don't know when it happens unless you get to a certain point of the game. And when it does, that's when the whole thing basically goes like, I don't know how to put this, but balls to the wall, basically. It is a portion of the game that is the most extreme, and it's very, very difficult once you get to a certain like scenario. And I thought it was just going to be a simple, and it is a survival game at heart, but there's like things that happen there that are super specific. And I should also mention it's kind of very gory in some areas, and not like horribly, but like it is kind of interesting how the story gets taken about like you're just in this random forest for whatever reason. It's hard to explain without specifically mentioning some spoiler, but you're basically just some dude who has no idea what's going on, but has to find out why he's there to begin with, what is happening to them, and who are these people you're encountering. Its own narrative just keeps picking up, which I was very surprised. I love simple survival games. I'm always going to be trying most, but this one has a twist that I admittedly started like enjoying a lot more than I did. And I'm basically almost at the end point. The only reason I'm kind of delaying is because I'm enjoying the game quite a bit. But there's some themes that just hit you in the gut, and I'm like, do you? I don't want to spoil it, but it definitely feels like your actions are the
consequences.
There are certain things that you basically realize about yourself, and then where it goes is kind of pretty dependent on whether or not you think your character is okay. It's not like you make decisions and you choose. It's not like this Elysium quite in depth, but it's very driven by its atmosphere, its like world that it is. And I don't know, I think there's just something about like the horror of everything. And I'm telling you, there's like really, really deranged things, and like not enemies, but allies, question mark, that you meet. And I'm like, at this point, if they're not hurting you or you're not the first thing that's their target, then hopefully they're not bad companions. But yeah, the game is super, super. Again, it's just top-down survival horror. It's like at the base of it. but I'm enjoying a lot of the strange things it's doing. I think that's definitely one of the backlog games that I also enjoyed. That was always in my radar. I just never really like. I just don't enjoy. It's like, oh, horror, I have to skip. But this one, I'm glad I didn't. Honestly, I love these like very subtle storytelling methods that it does. Like a lot of the time, that kind of, I guess, some games like Dark Souls kind of do. That's why I fell in love with this game.
Yeah.
But no, that's for me at least, to be honest.
Would you say that? Would you recommend this game to like someone new to horror?
The horror side of things definitely drop after bits.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna be honest, I easily get jump scared. So I easily like, even if I'm like, oh, I can expect this. Next thing you notice, I turn around the corner and then I hear monster enemies. I'm like, oh, they sound far. Turn around, they're right behind me. And yeah, no, I'm just not a fan. Honestly, I think it's still at heart a survival that you would probably enjoy, but it's very difficult to recommend unless you're just like biting the bullet and be like, why is this interesting and why is there cool, like, because the art behind a lot of the characters, like if you just search up how the game looks, you're like, whoa, it's really dark and gritty, like, oh, like I don't know, it's hard to explain. I genuinely think if people are a fan of like to a degree of horror and survival, I think it's pretty solid. And again, it's like it does some interesting things. I don't want to say too much if people at some point want to try, but it's a very interesting game. Not something, again, that I would imagine myself doing, but I think I definitely would recommend it to people who enjoy those kind of things. It's very difficult for new people to try out, but, you know, I always play them on harder difficulties too, so it's kind of on me, if I'm being honest.
Okay. Awesome. That's pretty insightful, man. I think I've heard about this game before, but that's a very interesting perspective on it. So, what about you, Adam? What's a backlog game you tackled?
Believe it or not, it's another 3 game. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. And honestly, it's one I wanted to try out for the longest time because I absolutely love the MUA series. I mean, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, both made by different developers because, you know, Activision has to be Activision, but they're still very fun top-down superhero games. And like honestly, with 3, they went above and beyond. This is actually done by another developer, Team Ninja, who I knew previously from Hyrule Warriors. So I'm like, okay, so Marvel Ultimate Alliance with a Muso type gameplay style. Okay, this is interesting. And you know what? It was bloody amazing. I love the cast. Story was a little more streamlined because like the way they had it, like the character exclusive dialogue was a little more limited than I would have liked. But there were still some callbacks, you know, you still got to fight some classic enemies, like in the DLC you fight Doctor Doom. You also have like Magneto, Sentinels, a whole plethora of Spider-Man villains. There is a lot of fan service in that game. It plays well, and the voice cast was bloody incredible. I think that was actually Yuri Lowenthal's one of his first roles as Spider-Man, and this was, I believe, it was either before or during the first Insomniac Spider-Man.
I feel like this one came out after Insomnia's game because I feel Insomnia's game came out in 2018, did it not?
I think so.
That sounds
yeah.
right.
Yeah, because I remember that because Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 came out in 2019. That's what I remember specifically, the timeline for this.
Right, yeah, that does make sense. So that's probably why Yuri Lowenthal was Spider-Man, even though my heart will always go to Josh Keaton.
Yeah.
He is my Spidey. I'm sorry, he's my Kevin Conroy of Spider-Man. But Yuri Lowenthal does a fantastic job, and minimal complaints about that game.
I've been really wanting to play Ultimate Alliance 3 as well for a while. It's been so long. I haven't gotten it yet, but I really want to eventually. What would you say is like your favorite character to play as in that game?
Oh, in MUA3?
Yep.
Well, I specifically played as 4 people throughout the entire game, and
That's
that
fair.
was
It is like a team game.
yeah, that was Spider-Man, Venom, Wolverine, and Deadpool, and I called it Team Swing and Stab.
Beautiful.
That is great. That is pretty good. That game has co-op, right?
It does.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's online. Yeah, I think it is online because I remember someone asked me in the chat and I did look it up. So,
Right. Note to self: if I get this eventually, I'll hit you up first for
right
co-op play.
on. Right on. Yeah, that'll be a first for me too.
And don't want to leave you out of the conversation, Stevie. What's a backlog game that you tackled?
It's really funny because I want to say almost half of my list of games I finished, or at least have played, or backlog games for this year. I want to say a pretty big one, which is, I'm sure this is something we're going to be talking about later on as well, but I played the original Wii U version of Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Oh wow,
That's a good one.
that is a good one.
So this was definitely on me, but I did not play the game fully as intended. I played pretty much main story for the most part exclusively, and because of that, I had a lot of frustrations with it. However, the world of Mira was pretty cool from all that I have seen. And especially like once you get the mech very late game, and just makes exploration so much easier.
I have distinct memories of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it really opens up the world to you, and like once I got that, I barely left it, I'm gonna be honest. And especially with the soundtrack too. Like I think in terms of Xenoblade, I've only played 1 and Ets so far. But I really like Etz's soundtrack in particular because it gives me a lot of 2E World Ends With You vibes. And for those that know me pretty well, that's one of my favorite games of all time. And yeah, so I was just like bopping along to the soundtrack and exploring the world a lot, and yeah, when I wasn't getting my butt beat, I was having a good time. Thankfully, through the collection that came out at the beginning of 2024, I was finally able to play Apollo Justice Ace Attorney.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I think I'm one of the few people that actually liked that one. I had a really good time with that cast of characters. Especially Trucy. Trucy made me smile a lot. And I'm very much looking forward to playing Dual Destinies next, as I am very slowly also on an Ace Attorney journey and catching up with all the games.
I need to start.
Oh, it's so good, man.
It's one of the more accessible series to start with in Capcom's library nowadays, so yes.
Yeah, I'm very glad that they decided to just drop the entire series on modern platforms now.
Yeah, they've been good with that lately. With a whole bunch of classic series. I've actually enjoyed Dead Rising, the remaster, in that regard.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that did come out too.
Yeah. That was one of my Halloween games.
Oh heck yeah.
That came out this year, right?
Yep.
Or last
Sure
year.
did.
Last year, my god.
Dead Rising? Was it?
2025 right now, 2024 last year is what I meant.
Oh, what? Stop. Sorry. Still get used to the fact that this is, in fact, 2025.
I know. I made that mistake last time, like twice, when I do these streams. It's so crazy, right?
Yeah, it does take some adjusting.
Okay, so I'm reading the chat. Apollo Justice is such a divisive one. Glad you heard you liked it, Stevie. Yeah. In terms, I like Apollo Justice. It's just not in my top. It's just not one of my top games. I really do like it, but the end game kind of like just brings it down for me a little bit. And then
Fair enough.
Yeah, and then Lady Violet says Capcom's been killing it. Absolutely, there's a lot of great collections that. There's a lot of preservation efforts that Capcom has gone through in recent years. It's really good. I love it.
Yeah, especially with their whole fighting game library. Like, they've just been like spitting all those fighting collections out.
Yeah, like
Marvel was very surprising considering
actually,
all the
yes, very.
Oh my
much
gosh,
so.
yes.
considering like all the legal loopholes they had to like jump through to make that happen. Holy crap.
Oh yeah.
I've been, when I was still working for as a game journalist for a little bit, I did cover how like that was probably like 2 years 2 years of like campaigning to get those remasters at least. And probably
Thank
before
you,
that.
Maximilian, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Lady Violet, totally not biased, but Dragon's Dogma 2. That was actually a lot of hype coming out before that game too, I remember.
Yeah, the first one is actually on my backlog to eventually play.
Same.
It is. It is. As someone who's only somewhat started it a little bit, it can get very, very fun. I'll say. I think there's some maybe things that some frustrating things where I'm at, but it's too early for me to say anything, you know. But
yeah,
it is quite fun.
Oh yeah, I actually just picked up a Steam copy of Dark Arisen for like, God, yeah, it was like $5. So it is ready to go for me to eventually play.
I have like the like a copy on PlayStation 3 physically, and I think I also have Dark Horizon as like a free game that I bought a game that I bought as part of a bundle in Capcom on like Humble Bundle. So that's waiting for me at some point.
I have so much Capcom to catch up on. It's insane. Resident Evil especially.
Oh my god, I gotta frick me. Okay, let's move right along. So, what about actual games and actual 2024 games that we played this year? Who wants to start this one?
Oh boy. So, one of my, I think, probably top 5 for me this year that came out in 2024 is this wonderful game from Vanillaware.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I know which game you're going to talk about.
Yeah, it's Unicorn Overlord.
I'm already intrigued.
Yes. I can't remember which one exactly, but this was announced at a Nintendo Direct a while ago. And as soon as I saw the name Vanillaware, I was already intrigued because I had played and really, really enjoyed 13 Sentinels from them a couple years ago. And yeah, so it's a really interesting strategy game. It's kind of, I don't know if I want to call it RTS, but because it's definitely like real time, but you can also pause it to give out commands to different units. And yeah, there's just like all sorts of objectives that you need to tackle while trying to defend your own base. And you can make up all sorts of different teams with all sorts of different units. So like the main character Elaine is like a prince unit, and then there's also like knight units and kind of like, I'm forgetting actual like class names right now because it's already been a few months since I played the game. But like, I guess kind of like rapier users and wizards, mages, healers, just berserkers too. Like there's all sorts of units that you could play around with, and you can mix and match all these units together to form all sorts of different teams, and they all interact with each other in one form or another. And it's honestly just kind of like an addicting loop of trying to figure out the best balancing for all these units. And the overworld map that you go on, just like you could just run around and collect items, and then you can fight just like these stray enemy units are also like roaming around the map. And it's oh gosh, it's a really cool game. Probably the best strategy RPG game that I played in a while. And I do really like the occasional strategy game. Yeah, it's phenomenal. Like the usual beautiful vanillaware art style, great soundtrack, and such an addicting game loop. Like I did not want to put this game down.
I knew a few friends who were really getting into this game when it came out on release as well, so it's on my backlog as well as 13 Sentinels.
I can recommend both, like, highly.
Shoot. Man. Did you have any other titles that you wanted to bring up specifically from 2024?
Actually, first, let me double check that this was actually a 2024 game. Yes, it was. Very good. Okay. So there was this little, indie, like, point-and-click game that I also wanted to mention. That came out beginning of 2024. Called Little Guardsman. So this was just a game that randomly got recommended on my husband's TikTok of all places.
Okay.
And so you're playing as this little girl named Lil, whose father, so it's kind of like in a stereotypical fantasy setting, and whose father honestly is just like really lazy and doesn't want to go to his shift at the guard's gate for the front gate of the city. So he asks her to take over the shift for him, basically. And it's a whole thing. It kind of gets compared a lot with Papers, Please, where you're deciding if you should let people into the city or not.
Mm-hmm.
And you get 3 action points per person to determine if you want to let them in or not. And you could do various things of just like chatting them up, using any items that you have to figure out if their intentions are truly good or not, and you can also you can also like check their belongings as well. Yeah, just things like that. And like every character is voiced, which is really nice. And there's just a lot of good witty humor in the game too. It's so charming. Like my favorite character that I will talk about every time I talk about this game is just like your typical like Disney princess sing-songstress character.
Okay.
But you know, it's so she's trying to charm her way in with her singing to get into the city, but it turns out she's actually a serial killer.
Nice.
Okay.
And the way it's presented is so great. And oh gosh. Yeah, I don't know if I'm like describing it very well, but it's such a cute little indie like point and click game with so much charm and humor.
And you said that game was Little Guardsman?
Yeah, Lil Guardsman. So Lil and then apostrophe and Guardsman.
Okay. That has gotten my curiosity peaked. I might have to check this out later this year.
Same. That sounds utterly hilarious.
Yes, and honestly, it probably could be a good like stream game too, just with how, just all the different things that you can do with it.
Fair
Nice.
enough. I will consider it. What about you, Adam? What's your best game of 2024 that you played?
Well, I mean, I already mentioned it. #blood. But another game that I have played, I'm smack dab in the middle of it because it is so bloody long. Metaphor Refantasio.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Otherwise known as Persona, but with fantasy. But hey, I'm enjoying the living hell out of it. The characters are frigging intriguing. Like, they actually go places I did not think I would see in a JRPG, let alone a Persona like it's like they tackle matters of like racism and classism, politics, and I'm just here like, okay, y'all are going there. Alright, cool. I can roll with this. And the battle system is like so intriguing because you can mix and match various like archetypes. Like, you can be like a warrior, you can be like a mage, a cleric, but you can also like, if once you level your characters up enough, you can like mix and match all the different moves. So for instance, one of my party members, Stroll, he's a bit of a warrior class, but I also gave him a bit of light in case, he needs to fend off some of the enemies with magic. So it's very intuitive, very customizable, and all wrapped up in the whole Persona-like, time management gameplay. Okay, you have this many days before you have to invade a dungeon. Are you going to do side quests? Are you going to bond with your party members? Are you going to like do something to boost your stats? It is very, very intuitive, and it's big as hell. Like, you're gonna be putting a hell of a lot of hours into it. I am not done with it yet, but it's very enjoyable.
Now,
That
sorry,
Oh,
you
go
go
ahead.
first. No, you go first.
all right. That was one I actually just finished like this last week.
Damn.
Yeah, so I could definitely contest with this one as well, which is how fantastic it is.
Now,
And
do you want me to talk first, or do you want to?
No,
did
you-
you have a thought?
you go ahead.
Okay. Now, I'm one of the local Persona fans in this chat here. So, would you say I now you don't need to sell it to me because I'm already got this game and it's going to be my gaming goal of 2025. But
I figured.
but would you say it's like the perfect game that you would introduce people who are unfamiliar with JRPGs or Persona or Shin Megami Tensei games in general?
I would say yeah, because I would say the system is a little more simplified than Persona. Because honestly, I played Persona 5, and that was my first ever Persona game, and I got very overwhelmed by the amount of possibilities and all the different monsters that you could mix and match, and you have to like capture them, negotiate with them, all that fun stuff. It is a little more streamlined in Metaphor Refantasio, and they do it in a way where you won't be entirely screwed if you make the wrong choices. You can go back and you can customize your guys fairly easily to adapt to all the different situations. So as an introduction to Persona style gameplay, I would say absolutely.
Fantastic. Very good. You don't need to sell it to me because it's like Blood to a Vampire for me.
Yeah, you can tell by the trench coat.
So I'm gonna talk about games that I played now. So one specific game that I was really looking forward to, that was actually a really big surprise to me, that was announced in 2024 that I really wanted to play, was Sonic X Shadow Generations.
Oh yes.
And
I still need to play it.
and it's actually fairly decent. It's a fairly decent game that is like the same amount of time that you would dedicate to playing the original Sonic Generations. You get a lot of that in Shadow Generations, but they do it a lot better. There's the level design in that game is like actually some of the best 3D Sonic gameplay that I've had in a while, and it's a huge step up from Sonic Frontiers. I really liked Sonic Frontiers, but I know there were a lot of teething problems with that specific game, but Shadow Generations like smooths out so much of the open zone format that I'm really excited to see where they go with this style of gameplay, because I know they're making like a sort of sequel to that gameplay style, and that was exceedingly one of the best games that I did play this year. And the story, specifically with Shadow side of the story in Shadow Generations, is like actually phenomenal as well, and it actually expands a lot of the lore of the Sonic franchise as well, with the in-game Gerald's Journal. It's actually a very fascinating read on its own. It like chronicles all of Professor Gerald's notes and like various arcs from like all the different Sonic games that he's appeared in, from Rivals, Sonic Battle. It's really intriguing. Now, sorry, I just hear a vacuum outside. Okay, and the other game I finished this year too was Persona 3 Reload, which was my kind of first wave of getting through Persona 3 specifically. And I really need to play the Answer DLC, but playing through Persona 3 Reload, it actually finally gave me pause and to think about, like, I can finally understand all of the story that P3 is playing through and everything. Although I do find there were some aspects of it that maybe they fumbled a little bit with this remake, I still really enjoyed it overall. And then Sparking Zero also came out within the same year, and that was also really fun. For a short while.
Oh,
a lot of Super Saiyan action going on in 2024.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Daima came out this year too, last year too.
That and of course the Super Hedgehogs in Sonic 3 and Shadow Generation.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I also played this specific. I've also been playing the Splatoon 3 DLC the side order DLC. It's like a big rogue like mode that gives you like a whole bunch of modifications for all your weapons and stuff that you go through like a giant tower. It's actually really a lot of fun too. I should probably play some more Splatoon 3 before the current Splatfest is up, but who knows? Maybe I'll get some time to crack into that after this. Oh well.
Yeah, my girlfriend was actually enjoying Side Order very much, and for those elements that you described.
Mm-hmm. I also really like the story of Side Order. Really, really intriguing. Also, a lot of lore expansion that I really liked as well. Although, one game in particular that I recently really got into, and mainly because like my friends were getting into it, and it was declared Game of the Year for 2024, Astro Bot.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
I've been getting a little bit into that so far. I played a few of the levels. It reminds me a lot of Super Mario Galaxy, specifically. And I'm not entirely surprised considering its inspirations, but it's like really engaging and fun to play through all that.
Yes, I can also vouch in for Astro Bot. It yeah, that's one of the very few games I've ever 100%ed,
Mm.
and it's just nothing but joy.
And hopefully it winning game of the year is kind of like a wake-up call to all these major game companies, that, hey, we could use more 3D platformers. Look at you, Microsoft, owners of Banjo-Kazooie.
What about you, Jacer? What's a title of 2024 that you really, really liked?
Well, I don't know if this counts or if this is cheating, but I at the time when I had like the whole list, I feel like I'd done more backlog games than anything,
Hmm.
and it just kept getting bigger and bigger to the point where I think I played a lot of things that was I'm only realizing I played way too late. But one game series I guess that I was getting into, and I said I was gonna play it because it was getting a remake, was Silent Hill 2. I had
Oh!
no real idea of this series whatsoever. So before that point, and I was like gonna basically make this year the whole get through what I can from Silent Hill in general. Because the first one, I was actually quite surprised how fun it was. And if you know this, the whole thing with what was his name? Was it James or
James Sutherland?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it was a very interesting way, and I thought it was just gonna be a simple like a regular old PlayStation game or what's it, and I'm like, ended up liking it a lot, and I jumped into the two because that's when we heard about like the remake that was coming out, and I thought two was just gonna be like another clunky thing, which again, a game from 2001, I believe. It's gonna have its mechanics where it's gonna be very frustrating to play, but I ended up enjoying it. Didn't get the ending that I was hoping for, but at the same time, I was told that there's like different things you could do to basically ensure a good run, and I definitely went back to going through seeing how a lot of the routes go. Some of which I unfortunately ended up giving up and looking at like a video or two because getting the same ending twice was like, "Oh, okay, well, you know what? Let me try to look at a guide now." And then now there's a whole thing, and I started getting a little into three, but that's when two basically got released. And I will say they did, like, from what I've gotten to play so far. Like, I mean, I'll say that I guess I played it, but not really. That's why I said I don't know if it's in the middle, but I think it does a stellar job, and I think a lot of people who have tried the remake, I think for the most part really enjoyed it because it did improve. Obviously, besides some of the clunky controls, setting up the whole thing with it's just honestly, it was like it makes me also want to keep going into the series again. At first, it was just made no sense to me with the whole like. Well, I thought it was like a whole dream sequence, but it's like apparently it's the whole nightmare of sorts. And it honestly, because of the remake, it made me enjoy the series more. I'm actually still going to three at the moment, and it was another like surprising series that I really wish I had done more sooner. And the only reason I did is because like the remakes, because I think a lot of remakes were basically getting popped around, especially with I think Final Fantasy Rebirth.
Oh my
was
god,
the
yeah.
thing. Yeah,
Nice.
so I was like, I might as well tackle something like because it was a lot of backlog. So I'm like, I'm gonna make Silent Hill one of those, and I'm enjoying it. Honestly, I really do. And I haven't finished it quite yet, but considering that I played the original one that was in 2001, two is feeling good so far to play through it. You know. Also, I think one thing that I keep accidentally doing is calling him Leon instead of I think James. James was the one and the two.
Yes.
But that's because I'm just terrible with names, and I'm like, James, and
I mean, very, very similar haircuts, let's be real.
I know, but it's like I'm like over here trying to figure things out, and again, unless like you partake in the story and the I won't say anything, but the twist, what you find out, it's like, you know what? How dare? I guess is all I say. I don't want to. I very much just like it's a series I'm enjoying. I'm glad a lot of games have backlog for that year for sure, and I'm sure this year hopefully doesn't get there. But besides just the multiplayer games that like I've tackled, like I mean, obviously like Helldivers, Power World actually was super super fun, And a lot of those games, I think this one is my top there because it's one of those like narrative-driven games, and I'm getting more into these games rather than the typical things I do. So I think Silent Hill 2 for its remakes, or the year I guess where a lot of remakes were coming out. I think that was one of my favorites for sure.
Mm-hmm. So you said that so shit. Where was I going with this?
It's one of the games that was released that year that I think I enjoyed quite a lot.
Yeah. So you did play you did play the remake, right?
The remake, I'm like almost halfway through it.
Okay.
It's really, really it's really very atmospheric than the second one for sure, and it's so well. I mean, I know already what's gonna happen, but it's just seeing it the way they play it out in like this amazing like cutscene format. It's super great. I love it. I love it a lot.
Would you recommend playing the original before playing the remake, or would you say that the remake is a good jumping on point?
Unless you like clunky controllers, and I don't know. I don't think I saved my thought, but when I streamed it, I did nothing but complain about the controllers constantly. Again, I played it very difficult. That's on me. The puzzles do get very interesting. Because apparently it's a thing too that if you play difficulties in either hard, normal, or easy, each puzzle actually changes. So what I try to do with the normal one wasn't the same as the one when you did hard because I didn't know they were different. And it's fun that they did that, but I think it's still. I like the story. I will say the story very much was super enjoyable. I don't think people should go into expecting a quality game where you like enjoy the controllers of it. Because I'm gonna be honest, I got a little frustrated at even the first one, but I think you can power through it definitely after a while.
Yeah, that's that gaming. It's a sign of the times in early gaming, plus like probably some auteur license for those early games specifically.
Mm-hmm. Specifically with like older games too, that with the GameCube controller and using like the middle thing and that whole thing with certain it's just different times.
Yeah. So moving right along into 2025, what are some gaming goals that you're looking to do in 2025? So I'm ask Adam, what's a gaming goal that you have for this year?
Backlog.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific game from the backlog you'd like to tackle?
Oh man, specific?
Yes.
Jesus. I have said this time and time again. I am a Steam user who I used to say I'm a Steam user who without Steam, but now I have Steam, so now that's even worse. That problem's even worse. But there is a game that actually Lady Violet in the chat, she gifted to me this Christmas, Class of '09, which is a very unique visual novel that is about it's not a dating simulator, it's a rejection simulator, and it's done by one of my favorite YouTubers, Lyle Rath, who was known as Guitar Master X7 back in the day. I actually did some voice work for him in the past. Really cool guy. But yeah, he did this. His humor is so in your face and raunchy, and I'm just here like, you know what? You have a whole visual novel like that. I am so in.
That kind of reminded me of an old game that I played very briefly in college. Emily is Away.
Sounds familiar. It does sound familiar.
Does sound familiar to me too.
Yeah, it's been a really long time since I played it, and as well as the second one too. And I think there's actually a third. I haven't played that one. But basically, it's you're talking to your old crush from high school in like an AOL chat, pretty much.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah, that sounds about
that
right.
takes me back.
It's just, from what I can recall, it's it's basically just like chatting with Emily through like just over the years from probably even as early as middle school to like college and adult life. And yeah, I think there was a time or two that I got rejected by Emily while playing the game. So that's just you talking about Class of '09 reminded me of that game.
Yeah, but but from what I understand, this time you're the rejecter for everybody that you're talking to.
Exactly. Yeah, I believe that is the premise.
God, that sounds amazing.
I've heard about this game, so it's been in my head for about terms of circles, but I did not realize that's actually what the premise is.
Yeah, I'm just here like, it takes a specific type of visual novel to grip me. I've only ever played a couple in the past. I've played like Dream Daddy from Game Grumps. I've played this series called Arcade Spirits, which is about, basically, it's a visual novel. You're trying to get, in the first one, you're trying to get an arcade together. In the second one, you're trying to build an esports team within an arcade. And it all takes place in this alternate universe where the game crash of the 1980s didn't happen, and the world is like centered around arcade games. Like arcades are a way of life. So I was just like, okay, this is fucking interesting as hell. So yeah, you have to do more than just date people to really grip my interest with a visual novel, and Class of '09 definitely scratches that itch.
Would you play The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog?
Oh, I need to. I absolutely need to. I've seen the Game Grumps play it, so I know the story, but I need to experience it for myself.
Good.
If
you also want like a visual novel that can like tick boxes that isn't just a dating sim, I highly recommend 9 Doors, 9 Persons, 9 Hours, and the Ace Attorney series.
Ooh, 9 Doors, 9 Persons, 9 Hours. I will have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's also probably it'll probably be on Steam as part of the Nonary Games duology.
Yeah,
and it comes with a
second, right.
And it comes with a sequel, which is called Virtue's Last Reward. That's it. So
nice.
Yeah, so those are going to be those are ones that I highly recommend.
I'll have to check those out.
And what were you going to say, Jacer? Sorry, cut you off there.
Oh no, it's just to add on to the Class of '09. I haven't played it, but I've had a friend that they streamed it, and from time to time, like whenever I'm not like busy with work, I remember we would have them in the background. And as for, I guess, raunchy humor, and it's definitely describing it, which actually, no, they do pretty solid work in some of the voices. They actually go very, very, very well with it. In particular to a certain character. I'm not gonna quote it. There was a particular dynamic between I don't know their names, but the kid with the glasses and then the other chick that's has him around for a reason. And I will say it is very much a different time of point of a game. I don't want to say per se what it is, but it is actually really funny to just kind of hear these guys go back to back with one another in their interactions. It definitely caught me, and it came around my radar at one point, and honestly, it's pretty good. I'll say,
nice.
Just on it, yeah. Honestly, that's about it. To be honest.
Well, how about a gaming goal for you, Jacer? Since since you're in the hot seat now.
Backlogs, absolutely backlogs. But I think there's been like things that I still need to tackle from prior years.
Mm-hmm.
Like definitely, I think I've been getting more into like very story-driven games. I like my multiplayer games, but like Disco Elysium was definitely a game that I picked up last year, and I still gotta get through it. Stuff that are being released right now, I want to know more. Fable is a series that I fucking sorry, pardon. It was very, very waiting for, and once they released about it, I was so excited, and yet we only have a mention of it, nothing more. And I'm like, no, please. The series itself was just like pretty fun. I'd say it's gotten its wacky moments too. I think some people are a little, I guess, divisive depending which ones you play. But I Fable, I really want to see what they do with it. I don't know why, but the series is just really funny. I think the third one, if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember which ones. There's like few where you're doing like either running a country or you're doing some stuff here and there. With
Yeah,
different
you're
people.
you're a king of a nation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's funny what you could do because if you could, I played it on the Xbox, I believe. You can connect with online, and then you can see other people's progress as if they're playing it. And I have a friend who also plays it. They're it tells you what they've been doing as well, and you can easily get absorbed in the fun. Where there's some things you can do with more of the players, or not players, but the NPCs, and it just really goes to hell really quickly. And I'm kind of ashamed to admit that it's reached on my end, but it gets funnier when you realize that if there's people in your friend list, it tells you exactly what their character has or has done, and and certain traits that they've developed with the copious amount of relationships they've had in the game. Whereas I won't say because it gets pretty much insane, but it was a really fun game, and I really want to keep going into. I'm surprised that they released another one, or they're going to rather, and I'm super excited about that. No, but catching up to a lot of games definitely is one that I really got to get better at. I think so far one of the ones that I'm hitting right now is Disco Elysium. It's long so far, especially if you take time to explore everything. But it doesn't make it any better that the quote unquote narrator also can be against you if you're not doing a good job. And it's just so much. And it's like, it's great. I think people should be trying it out if they haven't already. It's a very game where you got to like look into a case. You yourself, depending what you do, don't know what's going on either. And it only gets worse if you actually play as your role, or your role gets taken away from you, as the narrator puts it. But yeah, it's fun. I think that's where I am, at least trying to catch up with a lot of these games so far.
Yeah, much like you guys, I've been also wanting to I've got so much backlog to clear out.
the eternal struggle.
Yeah, like,
It never ends.
like one game that I really want to actually get done is like, I do want to get through more Yakuza this year, specifically because we're getting a lot more Yakuza in the coming years, specifically both mainline and spin-offs. So 5 and 6 are going to be like in my rear view for 2025. But one game that I also been playing a lot through, that I played a lot last year, was also the very first Paper Mario on the N64.
Ooh, that's a real good one.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to get through that so I can at least fucking play the friggin' Thousand Year Door remake. It's been sitting on my shelf since I got it.
I am actually on the post game for that, and yeah, I will say it is a pretty amazing experience. I slept on that one during the GameCube era. I'm so glad they brought it back for Switch.
Same here. I've missed it, and I like was one of the I was in. The GameCube was my one of the very first systems I ever got, so I'm finally glad to get like a very good classic Mario RPG. So, and I bet Paper Mario fans are really excited that they finally got a good Paper Mario RPG back too.
Yeah.
But one other, aside from like Ace Attorney Chronicles and Metaphor ReFantasio, I've been also I actually really want to get back into playing Bot and Kaitos, like the very first like Monolith Soft game on the Nintendo GameCube, because I got the very first game on GameCube like a while back, but I never actually finished it. But my brother recently gave me the GameCube version of its prequel, Bot and Kaitos Origins, on the GameCube, so I want to I tested out the discs just to make sure that they still work. And I know the remasters are a thing, but I actually really want to play the GameCube originals specifically. And also to spin off on like that visual novels that you were talking about earlier. I'm not sure if I want to recommend these just yet, but I want to play Danganronpa this year.
Oh,
It's so wild, that entire series.
yeah, that's another one I've been watching the Game Grumps play through, and yeah, that is definitely the word for it. Wild.
Yeah, I've been like mostly spoiler free about this series, so I really want to get into this one. I have the whole trilogy, so I will eventually play it this year, hopefully. And then I also really want to play this series that my friend has been like really asking me to play. It's the Uni Neko When They Cry series.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that too.
Yeah. It's a very interesting visual novel series that they've been asking me they've been dying to get me to play. So it's like, okay, I'll play it soon, I promise. I have the game. I bought the games recently on Steam. Please don't hurt me. So that's a series that I really, really want to get into this year specifically, because I've heard nothing but good things about this series, and I really, really want to play through it. My friend, the same friend actually, also did like fan dubs of one specific character from that series as well, so I want to fully understand the context for it. But Stevie, what's a gaming goal of 2025 that you wish to tackle in terms of backlog?
Oh gosh. As I said, the backlog never ends. I basically have had the same like gaming goal list for the last like 3 years now, and I am so tired of looking at the same list over and over again. So I'm really hoping to clear out at least half of it. That would be ideal for me. So definitely for one, continue on with the Yakuza series. At minimum, hopefully play through Kiwami 1 and 2.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, 3 and 4 would also be great, but at minimum, 1 and 2.
Fair enough. 1 and 2 are pretty... Kiwami 1 and Kiwami 2 are pretty sizable, even for just being remakes.
Yeah, right. I've been, as I mentioned earlier, I've been very slowly playing through the Xenoblade series. So 2 as well as Torna Country are up next on my list for that. And I know 2 is pretty much like the most controversial game amongst the entire series, so we'll see how I feel about that one as well. I really want to get into mainline Shin Megami Tensei.
Yeah. Me too.
So I'll be starting off with the remaster of 3 Nocturne. I think I'm going to be doing the Switch version for that. Hopefully it'll run well, or at least decent. Soul Hackers is another one that I've been very interested in playing.
Soul Hackers 1 or 2?
Both, actually.
Fair enough.
Again, minimum I would like to play 1. If I get to both, great. If not, fine. But it is very high time that I finally play Okami, especially now with the announcement of 2.
Yeah! Well, sequel to Okami, rather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is actually another Okami sequel, Okami Den.
Yes, I'm aware of
the
Okami
Kiwi
Den
one.
as well. Good friend of mine is very much a fan of Okami Den. Heard nothing but good things about that one from them. Yeah, I've been also very slowly playing through the Pixel remasters for Final Fantasy.
Oh yeah.
I actually just started 3 the other day, so been working my way through that one, and would like to play 4 and 5 as well, at least. And then probably save sits for next year. And I guess also in terms of visual novels, since like wild visual novels, I really want to play the AI Simon Files duology this year.
Oh right. Oh my god.
Yeah, Spike Chunsoft, man, they put out the most wild games. The
That's an
Danganronpas,
understatement.
the Danganronpas, the Zero Escapes, and now the Summoning Files, and now
Master Code.
yep, Masako. That was another one that I played when it came out, and that one is just as wild as the Danganronpas. I will never get over the end game plot twist. But yeah, that's. And then there's a couple others off of this 3-year-old list, but but yeah, I'll hold off on that for right now since I kind of babbled on it a little too long at this point.
No, it's fine. You're doing fine. I yap a lot myself, so it's fine.
Yeah, I've
But-
been off on some tangents myself.
Although, since you did bring up Final Fantasy, that does remind me. I actually do want to finish the very first Final Fantasy game. That's been like, I have it. I'm like halfway through, like not even halfway through. I'm like a quarter through, and I really should finish it. But also Final Fantasy VII, because I'm like still only like halfway through the first disc.
Oh yeah, I remember. I tried playing that before the remake, and I just kind of like lost interest midway through. But honestly, the remake, I don't think I can go back ever since I played it. It's just I love that Kingdom Hearts style of gameplay just a little bit more.
That's fair.
Plus, it has my favorite Square character of all time, Roach. Shout out to Austin Lee Matthews.
Yeah, I guess if we're going to talk about kind of, sort of, but not really early Final Fantasies, I really want to play Stranger in Paradise as well.
Oh god.
Oh yeah.
Since it is technically a prequel to Final Fantasy 1.
I do
Triple
have
chaos.
chaos.
Like, I've seen so
I'm getting
many
deja vu.
memed on clips of it, and it's just like, God, I need to play this.
Plus, it had like DLC that actually came out in like a few years ago. That was
It did come out in either 22 or 23. But
The DLC I think
It's-
came out in 23. I think.
yeah, I know there's a DLC where you like fight the Warrior of Light himself, and it's like, okay, that looks really cool.
That one's a
Um,
Souls-like. That I'm aware of that one. I played the demo for a short bit.
Yeah, I am aware of its soul-like elements as well, and I am a little bit nervous going into it because I did attempt a Souls-like game this year as well. I did unfortunately drop it because I am bad at Souls-lights and even worse at Metroidvanias because that's what it also was. But oh no, I'm willing to give it another. I'm willing to give us another Souls-like another chance if it's something to my taste. Like I know Stranger in Paradise most definitely is. So
That's kind of been my first stepping stones into like the Souls-like genres. Because I remember playing Dark Souls 1 and I rage quit during like Ornstein and Smog. Just two bosses at the same time. It was just like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
But then I wound up playing two games. Darksiders 3, which pivoted from its Zelda inspirations into Dark Souls. I rolled with it, and that was a tolerable experience. And then Jedi Knight Fallen Order.
Oh yeah.
yes,
Ooh.
that's actually another like Souls-like esque game that I'm interested in playing.
It is very good, and it is a lot more forgiving than traditional Souls. So yeah, those I cannot stress enough. Those are great stepping stones into the genre.
Yeah, because like my first Souls game was Bloodborne, and
Oh no.
I quit after the very first boss. I couldn't handle it. It just made me so mad.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I can't even finish Elden Ring.
I would say it's Bloodborne being the first is way quicker than I've played most Souls-like games. I've gotten admittedly a little too into them because of challenge, yada yada. I'll be honest though, there's still gonna be points where like I think it'll be tough, unless what Adam mentioned, Star Wars Jedi, and I've heard what was the other one? Was it
Code Vein?
any game that would there would be like other games that like basically Souls like, I think is a good way to start. But getting into it like straight up, because I played all from 1 to 3, Elden Ring. I did try Code Vein, which wasn't as oddly enough wasn't as bad. It's still tough for sure, but I think which is basically just anime Dark Souls.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
It's up there when it comes to difficulties, but I think it's much more forgiving. And if like people enjoy that kind of style, I think it's a pretty okay way to start too. But overall, I think that's why I was like wasn't trying to say too much with the whole DLC with the Erd tree thing. I'll be honest, it's making me really quit Dark Souls games.
Oh man,
It's also
What's that
like,
hard? Damn.
there's supposedly I heard that there was a patch for certain bosses because it was that bad. Not terrible, but it wasn't great. I'm struggling to some degree, I will say, but I think Elden Ring is like in rough beginnings as well. I definitely wouldn't recommend people starting with Bloodborne. I think the combat with that is way too ridiculously quick,
yeah.
even
yeah.
if you're a first timer. But yeah, no, getting into the whole series in itself, I was only in it for the story initially. I think I watched a lot of Vadu, I believe that's his YouTube name, explaining the lore of Dark Souls, and I was like, why only know and not like engage in it? Worst thing I could have done. But hey, I played through the series for the most part, so I'd say it's okay. You know, I wouldn't recommend anyone to take those games and enjoy them, but they're very very rough.
Yeah.
I think just from what I've seen of it, I haven't played it myself, but I feel like a good starting Souls-like that actually did come out this year would probably be another Crab's Treasure.
Oh, I love that game. I mean,
Ooh.
granted, the Unity physics kick my ass at times, but it is still a fairly enjoyable experience.
And honestly, like, I love that the devs just added a mode where you where you can just like give the crab himself a gun and just one-shot every boss.
Okay, I'll have to check this one out too.
It is, yes.
I will say, if you have Game Pass, it is on there.
Like, yeah, it's not one I played myself. I watched my husband play it and like go through some of the bosses, but I am aware that that is a mode, and I believe they made it too where like you can actually just go through the whole game with that mode and still get all the achievements if you wanted to, which is honestly really nice too.
Oh yeah, that's
Okay,
awesome.
that's pretty good.
That is amazing.
Okay, awesome. Good shit. Actually, another thing that I do want to bring up real briefly, game for another gaming goal, Kingdom Hearts. I still haven't finished the first game. I really.
Ooh.
Do it.
I know. I've been trying. I'm trying.
You're talking to the resident Kingdom Hearts fan here.
I know.
I have played every single title, excluding the mobile games. But yeah, I am. What they say about the plot being a little contrived is true. Just a little bit.
Did I tell you about how I beat some of the hardest bosses in like 1 or 2 tries?
Oh shit.
Which ones?
I told you about this one. Remember?
It's been a while.
Dragon,
You'll have to remind me.
Dragon Maleficent first try, and then Ansem Riku like 2 tries.
Okay, yeah. You got through some of the more infamous, at the time unskippable cuts quotes.
Oh Lord, yeah.
Yeah, I still have to get through the rest of the game, but those were pretty decently sized bosses that I was able to get through.
Thank
Nice.
God for the final myths versions of the first game that you can actually skip those cutscenes if you're struggling.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to our next topic. Shoot, let me fix that. Oh my God.
Games.
Yes, games.
Games are fun.
What games of 2025 are you looking forward to? I think we'll start with Jacer. Do you want to lead this one off? Do you have a particular title you're looking forward to?
I think I briefly mentioned it with like the whole Fable thing.
Mhm.
I also poked with a little bit of like the whole Yakuza series. Again, I'm super excited to
Like a
figure out
dragon,
what
pirate
happened.
Yakuza
Yes.
in Hawaii.
Just the title
Damn.
alone is insane. I'm like, huh? Like, okay. And then following with what we know of the character, like, what exactly is going to happen? And it's revolving around a favorite sort of topic.
Fan favorite
With-
character, yes.
Yeah, and it's about like a pirate adventure. Apparently, they go pretty in depth to the gameplay with that. And
I've actually I
as, like-
haven't seen they released a gameplay trailer or gameplay showcase recently, like actually going into like the naval combat specifically.
Yes, they
And-
did.
it looks. I fell in love with like the Assassin's Creed Black Flag pirate combat thing, and as much as it wasn't too many people's tea for the Assassin's Creed game, I fell in love with it. Anything that resembled like the whole ship combat thing, and I got a little bit out of that from the review that they talked about. So it's definitely something I still want to try, even if at some point I gotta like. I'm not gonna try to speedrun the series. Obviously, I don't want to do that to myself, but I really want to see where it goes. With that, also, there was something else. I want to get to at some point Shadow of the Colossus because those guys apparently are releasing something called what was it called? Project Robot.
Oh, I
And-
know what you're
Oh,
talking about. I
yes.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
And the bits that were like kind of shown, again, shown almost nothing, but almost a lot. As weird as that sounds, I wanna see how.
Oh, you cut out there, buddy. Oh, jeez. Everyone
Oh.
cut out, I think.
Yeah.
Jacer, you still there, buddy?
It disconnected there for a sec.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Goodness.
What were you gonna
Live,
say?
everybody.
Welcome
Sorry
back.
about that. Yeah, no, it's definitely by people that have made a solid game, I've been told, and it does look really well, and I have been hearing great things about it, and I want to try, and this one just looks really interesting to me, and I don't know, Project Robot, yeah, it's definitely something I want to really, really give it a shot. I really want to know more, but they're like very loose on certain things.
It's just called Untitled Project by Fumito Ueda.
It's labeled here under thing for the video, but
Oh, I'm
that's
looking at the.
interesting.
I'm just looking at the video from the Game Awards. That's the result that popped up for me. So it's just called Project Robot.
I believe that's what the title went for in which one was it? Was it the Steam? Not Steam. PlayStation side of things. I think that's what they released it on the video. I believe. But yes, it's I wanna see. That one is definitely one I'm super excited for. And of course, my survival games, Subnautica 2 is getting a whole thing. And that one's multiplayer, so I can bring my friends to underwater horror hell.
Hey.
Excellent. Excellent.
And I think last thing is, if I'm not mistaken, I think supposedly 2025. I've heard that Metroid Prime 4.
Yes,
one
Metroid.
Yes.
Oh,
Metroid
damn.
Prime
Yes.
4 Beyond is actually. It does have a 2025 release window, but it doesn't have a specific date. We only had that trailer last year, so far.
And I'm all four companies delaying things if they need to. They made it seem like they needed to delay this one before. I forgot for how long. When was the announcement about it?
2019 when they restarted development, I think.
Yeah, it was like a bit ago, and then people were like, "Oh no, this was concerning." But like, it seems like, and at this, I guess with Nintendo in particular, the way they handle things, I'm just hoping that the people behind it are like actually like the series, man. I've been a big fan of for so long, and then Prime 4, the fact that we even got like a announcement to begin with, I don't know, and knowing from what I know a little bit of of like the story, and it's going off of a character, and which one was it? Was it Federation, Metroid Federation?
I think it was Prime
The-
Hunters for. You're talking about Rylix, right? The
Yes.
guy shown at the antagonist shown at the end of the trailer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, there's gonna connecting to there, and I'm like, so this one has a connection to that, and I just fell in love with like the whole world, and Metroid Prime 4. It's a big wait, but I'm more than willing to wait for that game if it does come out this year, hopefully at least.
Same. It's a thing that Metroid Prime 4 I am very hoping to see soon as well. Maybe we'll get some actual footage for that this year.
Mhm.
But what else? I mean, shoot. Oath, Oath, take over, please. What's a game in 2025 you're looking forward to?
So, my most anticipated game that has a release window of spring 2025 is Clair Obscure Expedition 33. It is it's a turn-based JRPG from a brand new studio, Sandfall Interactive. It's got an all-star cast, and it's really hard to talk about because we haven't seen too much footage of it, but the initial trailer that was shown at an Xbox showcase not that long ago, it looks phenomenal. It looks beautiful, and it's got a really interesting story concept to it too, of this paintress. She just like paints a number, and anyone of that age just dies. And so there's a whole expedition team going out to try and stop the paintress from killing people. And
Oh, I think I saw a trailer of that.
yeah,
What's the title
it-
again?
Clair Obscure Expedition 33. It looks phenomenal, and yeah, like I said, an all-star cast. So like Ben Starr, who played Clive in Final Fantasy 16. I'm forgetting her name right now, but Shadowheart from Baldur's Gate 3, her voice actor is in this too.
Oh, I think it's Jennifer English, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that sounds correct. Thank you, Adam. But yeah,
Yeah, you're
it
right.
just-
Yeah, you're right. Jennifer English.
Hey.
Yeah, it's the combat looks phenomenal. And I even saw in one of their Twitter posts a while ago that they actually have a mechanic that's similar to Final Fantasy IX, which is another one of my all-time favorite games, so automatic win for me in terms of how you learn abilities. And it's attached to equipment, which is something that I've always been a fan of. So, yeah, this game looks fantastic, and I cannot wait to play it. It will be a day one game for me.
All right, that's very, very cool.
Yes. I'm another game I'm also looking forward to, but I don't really have as much knowledge of. It's Lost Record. It's from it's from the same dev team that makes the Life is Strange series, and I very much like those games.
Oh, oh yeah, I think
So-
I've heard about this one.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to this one as well.
Nice.
Fair enough. Um, talk about games that I'm looking forward to this year. So, um, I'm actually really looking forward to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days collection that's coming out this year.
Oh, that's right.
I have it pre-ordered.
Yeah. I'm gonna get that one on Switch because there's a lot of older Yu-Gi-Oh! Games that I've never actually played before, and of the games that are in that collection, I've only played two. It's Sacred Cards and Reshefa Destruction, and Reshefa Destruction I've never finished because that game is bullshit.
So this is kind of like your redemption arc almost.
Yes, I can actually finish the game because it has like a bunch of like really arbitrary artificial difficulty limitations that it places on the player that makes it so friggin' difficult to play. So I really can't do it. I can't play the original. I'd have to like play it with cheat codes or some shit like that. So I am glad that the Early Days collection is offering like a whole bunch of like quality of life features that allows me to play through it. Plus I just like really like playing some of the older Yu-Gi-Ohs that have like that rule set that was made before the actual card game was made. It's really interesting to play specifically.
And you won't have to deal with the current meta.
No, I'm good on not dealing with the current meta, sir. No, siree.
Oh, lordy.
Yeah, I played a couple rounds of Master Duel Online, and I was like, okay, that's it.
I'm too old for this, man.
Exactly. Too old for this shit.
But another thing, speaking of another collection I am looking forward to, is the Capcom Fighting Collection number 2. It's got a bunch of the fighting games that I've actually really wanted to play from the old collection. Hopefully we get some more like older fighting game collections from Capcom if this is the route we're going specifically.
And this is the one that's gonna have like the two Power Stone games in, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Power Stone was actually a title that I discovered kind of recently, and I've had an interest in playing. So I'm really looking forward to this collection for that alone, at least.
Yeah, because that's been stuck on the Dreamcast for like years.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of other things that I am looking forward to, I think I've seen Deltarune chapters 3 and 4 might be released this year, according to Toby Fox. I'm not entirely sure about that, but we'll see. If it releases in 2025, it releases in 2025. So I've been keeping up with that development for a while, so that's very intriguing. But also the game that I'm also really looking forward to that may not be on anyone's radar at all is Sonic Racing Cross Worlds.
Oh, it's on my radar. I love that series.
So
better than Mario Kart. Fight me.
But specifically, I'm very interested to see. I know we only just got like a teaser trailer at the Game Awards, whatever. So the thing that I'm mostly curious about is like the dimension hopping, and what I'm hearing about specifically is about how it's supposedly going to be like a callback to the All-Stars Transformed Racing side of things, where it's like you have transforming vehicles that go over all the different terrains that like air, sea, land, that kind of stuff. I didn't even know they were making a new Sonic Racer. Yeah, they announced it very briefly at the Game Awards. It's you blink it and you miss it, kind of announcement.
The dying gasp of the Year of Shadow.
Yeah. Yeah, that one trailer with Shadow going into a car. But I've also the one thing that I'm also really curious about is if they're going to do the thing that I think they're going to do, is that if they're going to incorporate the extreme gear stuff from Sonic Riders as well, because there were some like hints in it specifically that I've looked at that like they have the extreme gear board on the side, and they also have the sunglasses that Sonic wears in Sonic Riders in the reflection of the logo. Yeah, this is conspiracy theory shit. But that's another game that I'm looking forward to in 2025 if it drops according to Jeff Keighley. And maybe we'll get some more lore.
One can hope.
That stopped them making Sonic and Sega, right? I seem to recall they no longer include racers from other Sega franchises, or am I wrong? Or they... Yeah, the last Sonic racing game, Team Sonic Racing, that was strictly only Sonic characters. Maybe we'll get like actual guest fighters from other Sega franchises in this one. Who knows? Maybe it'll just be another Sega. Maybe it'll just be Sonic as a roster. Adam, I haven't asked you about what game you're looking forward to in 2025 yet, have I?
There are a couple, actually. First off, Doom: The Dark Ages.
Oh my god, you're right.
Yeah, I don't think it's a secret from my avatar. I'm a diehard metalhead, and Doom is definitely up there as far as one of the most metal games of all time, and you get to ride a giant Doom mech while you're slaying demons in the medieval times. And I'm just here like, I'm all for it. I am all for it. There's that, and there is Ghost of Yotei, which is the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh.
Which, not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed that we're not seeing more Jin Sakai, but you know what? If Sucker Punch says his story is over, best not force it. Let's go with someone new. And I am personally looking forward to seeing what Erika Ishii has to bring to the table. I mean, from as far as I'm concerned, Sucker Punch did the Assassin's Creed formula better than Assassin's Creed. And they did the Japan setting long before Ubisoft got around to it. So I'm just here like, yeah, keep on winning, Sucker Punch. Keep on winning. And then there's a final one, which, is probably not on everyone's radar. This actually got delayed. Excuse me. That got delayed from 2024 to this year. Toxic Crusader. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the movies or the cartoon, but there is a team called Retroware, and they are making a beat 'em up of Toxic Crusaders in the style of TMNT Shredder's Revenge or the new Power Rangers beat 'em up. And what drew me to this mostly is that the music is going to be done by one of my favorite bands of all time, Psycho Stick. They are a comedy metal band. All right, if you've heard the beer song, beer is good, beer is good, beer is good, and stop. That's Psycho Stick. So having them do the soundtrack is bloody amazing, and I'm sure it is going to be a blast. Oh, and Violet is saying, iffy on the new Doom because the guy behind the awesome music got screwed over hard by Bethesda.
Yeah.
Mick Gordon absolutely got screwed over.
Yeah.
That is a bloody shame. I'm just hoping the new soundtrack will be good, and hopefully Mick Gordon lands on his feet. Yeah. Bloody Bethesda.
Yeah.
But
we're not here to talk about controversies.
yeah.
Well,
I will leave
we
it
are
at that.
here to talk about next is the Switch number 2, or the Switch successor.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Boy.
I mean, I like that it's backwards compatible with the original Switch.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope. I won't have to empty my library of Wii U discs like I did before.
Yeah.
Yes.
So do you think I've again, game journalist things that I've heard about up the grapevine. Well, they actually announced it. No, they haven't announced the console, but they did say that there would be announced at the end of 2024 fiscal year. So sometime soon in 2025. So,
Yeah.
but we did get like some confirmation that the console is a thing, essentially.
Yeah.
So
It's in the likes.
yes, very in the wakes kind of deal. So what's everyone's kind of like hopes or dreams about it?
New Zelda.
Yeah, okay.
I'm a simple man.
Actually, do you think there's gonna be any games that is gonna be like a release that is gonna be on the Switch and Switch 2?
Oh, like the way they transferred like the Wii U games over to the Switch before? Or?
No, kind of like the same deal that they did with Breath of the Wild, where they released both the Wii U version and a Switch version.
I would not be surprised if if the new Mario and Luigi game Brothership had a Switch 2 version, considering how recently that was released.
That's fair.
The thing with that is, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh,
It's
no,
just,
go ahead.
with the compatibility thing, that being the main, like, yeah, you can still play all your Switch games. How exactly would they like kind of
Double dip,
show
you're right.
or be like, hey,
Yeah.
are you willing to make another version or buy a different version for this version of our Switch? Maybe it's better. Who knows? Nothing is known, you know.
Probably
Well, I mean,
be the
that's-
same thing that that PlayStation has been doing for the last few years,
I was
where
about to say, yeah.
where you can like play your PS4 games on your PS5, but there's also like multiple games that have
Both a PS4 and a PlayStation 5 version, right?
correct, yes.
Yeah.
I feel like Nintendo would probably be doing something similar to that.
It'd also be like, I mean, yeah, but it also like would also kind of be on like the backs of the third-party companies to actually like kind of support that kind of stuff too, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing about third parties is they do not do Nintendo games as good as Nintendo does. Case in point, the atrocity that was Mortal Kombat 11 on the
Oh
Switch.
god.
Oh,
God.
shoot.
Oh no, one.
One.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Mortal Kombat 1.
one.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah. I saw the differences amongst versions of that.
It's something. It's something.
What happened?
Like apparently it's the same game. It's just it looks absolutely horrid. And I mean my girlfriend and I we went through the same experience with another game called Path of Titans, which is this dinosaur themed MMO. We play it together on the Switch, but she plays it on the PS5, and it looks like two separate games. It's just so overwhelming how utterly beautiful the PS5 game is compared to the Switch version.
I mean,
And
you're,
so,
you're kind of
sorry.
like you have to downgrade that kind of stuff specifically because
Oh,
you're going on like
absolutely.
two different hardware specs essentially.
Yeah, and Nintendo's kind of had this problem for a while, ever since the Nintendo Wii. Because with the Wii, their goal was like, okay, let's not upscale like they're doing with the 360 and PS3. Let's just keep the hardware on GameCube level, and we'll just add motion controls, and we'll focus on the fun factor, which is good for Nintendo. But the other companies, not so much. Which is kind of why we had situations like Destroy All Humans, where they had like Big Willy Unleashed and Path of the Furon, or more infamously, Sonic 06 and Secret Rings.
Ah, lordy. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean,
Again-
if you want like a more direct comparison too for that, it's like they had to hard split like Sonic Unleashed into two different games for both like both the Wii and PlayStation 2, and then high definition consoles too.
Oh yeah, and they also did the same thing for Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. Though funny enough, that was one of those rare instances where the Wii version was actually deemed better than the 360 and PS3 versions to
Yeah,
the
and we
point
got
where
that. We got that remaster on Switch.
yeah, that was surprising and a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. Yeah.
So
But yeah, like that. Ever since then, Nintendo's kind of been playing catch up when it comes to the hardware and the limitations. So hopefully they'll be able to get to, now they have a more upgraded version of the Switch. Hopefully they'll be able to be more third party friendly.
one patent rumor that I recently heard about is that they got it like a patent specifically for upscaling graphics. So like if you like provide them for AI upscaling specifically, if you provide like a low resolution version of your game and a higher resolution of your game that could like run on like more advanced hardware, then the Switch 2 will be able to like output the graphics and upscale the low resolution version to like the high definition version so that they look kind of comparable. That's a rumor that I've heard recent.
Oh yeah, I think I actually saw a video from Nintendo Life about this just a few days ago.
Yes, I specifically heard it from Nintendo Life about that. So and another rumor is apparently it's somewhere in terms of power comparable to the PlayStation 4 Pro, if weaker than that. So I'll be interested to see how this all pans out in 2025 specifically.
I mean, that's honestly not too bad if that's the case, because like honestly, I remember playing God of War and the soft reboot, and comparing that to God of War Ragnarok, honestly, I didn't see the difference, even though it was like from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5. So, I mean, if that's the case, it's honestly not that bad of a downgrade compared to other systems.
Mm-hmm. I've also seen that they've recently acquired like a different third-party company to help like bring port games to Switch specifically. I know it's the same. I know it's the same developer that did the Mortal Kombat 1 port.
Oh
dear.
no.
Oh dear.
I mean, hey, listen, it's acquired by Nintendo. They might actually do something. They might actually have a little bit more oversight instead of just like a straight port. Because, like,
Yeah, give them a swift kick to the ass, kind of like how they did with Retro back in the day, which is how we got Metroid Prime.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Is there anything else you guys that you guys thought of about the Switch 2 that you're hoping for before we move on to our last topic?
So, kind of going back on the games that might have a Switch 1 and Switch 2 simultaneous versions.
Yeah.
I'm kind of predicting that Pokemon Legends ZA might have that.
You're right.
ooh, that's right.
That is
that
coming out soon. I say soon, but
Yeah, we know next to nothing about this one, but I loved Arceus when that came out, and I'm very much looking forward to this one. But I do expect, I kind of am expecting a simultaneous version for this upcoming one, and hopefully, I did see some rumors that we might get more information on the next potential Pokemon Day, which that wouldn't be surprising at all. But let's hope it's true.
yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. The one thing that I do think I would want for the next Switch successor is probably like some more ports of like GameCube games.
Oh, yes.
Yes, definitely.
And I guess kind of on that same note, if they want to add any more emulators to NSO, why not?
GameCube.
Why not potentially have a GameCube emulator?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of nuts.
Actually, the thing is about that is the NSO specifically. I know that they're going to retain that, so the NSO service is still going on into Switch 2. So maybe we'll get more emulated stuff for that is from the GameCube era on like when we approach the Switch 2, and like it'll be exclusive to the Switch 2, maybe.
I personally would love to see like an official localized Captain Rainbow.
Oh
I
my
would
god.
love to finally play
Yeah.
that game.
Yeah, that would be pretty spectacular. All right, and now we move on into our final topic of tonight. What are we hoping for 2025 in just general? What game announcements or anything that were just shot in the dark of anything ever for 2025? If you want something.
Okay, so I mentioned this in one of our previous retrospective streams.
Yeah.
It still hasn't come true. And with the Switch 2 eventually coming, with hopefully better hardware, this has to be a thing, right? Why are Last Story and Pandora's Tower still to this day stuck on the Wii?
Oh my god, you're right.
I really want these games to come to Switch. Like, it's, Xenoblade was also part of that same project. What was it called?
Project Rainfall. Yes.
Yeah. And, and Xenoblade has been getting a lot of love, and, that's great, but, there's other games that just got left behind, and I really want to see those get some love as well, and actually get the chance to play Pandora's Tower.
Yeah.
So, at this point, it's the only one that I haven't really been able to get my hands on.
Look, if it's that important to you, I will assist. I will lend you my copy.
Hey.
The only real thing that I'm kind of worried about is that the video game developers specifically, if they're still active. Okay, they are.
Okay, good.
The most recent game they released was One Piece World Seeker.
Ooh.
Yeah, and also Engawa Danshi to Keno Kimono-tan in 2021. So the One Piece game was 2019. So I feel like that'd be okay I feel like that might have a chance to get onto the Switch 2. Now, the other one, The Last Story, is Mistwalker.
Yes.
So that's all up on... Okay, yeah, no, they released Fantasian. That's right. So, yeah, that is a possibility. That is a high hope game that I really hope gets on the Switch successor. I mean, we've gotten a lot of like ports of Wii games, so maybe that one will be too.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. And Last Story is a game I have played, but I never got super far into it. So I have let that one be my redemption arc game.
There you go.
I actually picked up a copy of the Wii version of that game specifically with like kind of like the collector's edition box and like an art book specifically.
Yeah, that's the edition I have too. It's so pretty.
Yeah, I have it. I found it at a nerd garage sale, a big nerd yard sale essentially, like where a whole bunch of people brought their stuff to sell. It was a very good find.
Oh yes.
So I can play that again sometime. But Jacer, do you have a hope for 2025 game that you're hoping something about, maybe?
Give me more Tales of games. I love the series.
We might get more Tales of stuff.
I truly wish. I think I've enjoyed the heck out of Tales of Arise, and I think there was another one. What was it? Luminary? I forget the name. The titles are. I'm just bad with names, but the last ones were like a few years back. I think it's already been 3 years or so since the last one.
Berseria? No, that's not it.
No, Berseria was 2016. That was
Right.
a while back. Arise, I think it was 2021. I'm almost certain it's 2021.
Yeah,
But,
Arise was 2021.
And I don't know. I always enjoyed the music. A lot of the stories just solid for the most part.
Are you gonna play the Grace's F remaster?
Ooh, that's still on my radar because I still want to like have more chances to get behind, obviously with my backlog. But yes,
Hmm.
it's very much up there. The whole series as a whole, like I might have only gotten into it because I played. It was a little rough. The Tales of wait, which one was it? Was it Zisteria? That one, it wasn't. There was mixed opinions about that, but I think I still had fun with it.
Hmm.
Symphonia, ooh, a lot of people I think remember that one for the most part, especially.
That is like the iconic title.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I
Oh
was
yeah,
excited
definitely.
with this, and I just only kept enjoying the series more. I think Zisteria, for the most part, was still popular. It got its own anime at least. Introduced people to Zavid, amazing. He's a wild card, but hey, I mean, I like the character because of Berseria. But yeah, I just honestly I want more. Definitely for sure for the Switch as well. Like the Switch 2. I would imagine Nintendo wised up to how the companies are, and rather than sticking close to what they know, I think definitely getting more like companies to be like in support of like their system and doing more stuff for them. Like I love that they have brought some games to the Switch. Not everything, obviously. But with the Steam, was it Steam Deck?
Yes.
Since you can kind of do that with most of, if not all of the games that are like available, it's like hard to look at that and compare to how Switch 2 might do things. Not that I want to look at it like that. I just wish that if they are hopefully bringing like the big guns when it comes to what they've known over the years and whatever gimmick they might come up with. Because I think with the Switch, I love that I could just plop it down to my TV whenever I want. But I'm always traveling around, so it's always more convenient to have it. I just want more uses out of it too. I guess, but I don't know. We'll see. Again, seeing how they are, I'm sure they'll come up with something. I'm sure they have like things ready, but yeah, no. Definitely for me, it's just more Tales of games. I need more. Give me.
Okay, and I could go next, I guess. The one game that I'm hoping to get more news on in 2025 is Project Sentry, like the new World War One spin-off of the Yakuza series. Well, I say spin-off, but it's like maybe it's by Ryu Gagatoku Studio.
Oh, this was the thing that they announced at the Game Awards, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was the second game they announced at the Game Awards. It's like it looks much more gritty and realistic. It reminds me more of Sleeping Dogs than a Yakuza game.
Yeah.
And it's like it does go back to like the action brawler style of the series of the series' roots.
Mhm.
So I am very curious to see how that pans out, aside from like maybe the Virtua Fighter series too, the new Virtua Fighter game. Maybe that'll be the game that I get into fighting games too, because I really did like Virtua Fighter 5 on PS3 and PlayStation 4. But the one game that I really hope gets like a localization announcement of some kind is Persona 5 The Phantom X.
Yes, I've been waiting for a global release for quite a while now.
Yeah, it got like a Japanese version on Steam last year, and I've heard a lot of things about how there are plans to make a localized version and release this game to the West specifically, and also plans about making this for consoles as well. So hopefully we get some more news on that front, because I've been following like the development and kind of like the story of it, of the Chinese version or the Asia version specifically, and it's kind of like really ramping up to stuff that I really did not consider before, and I'm really interested in actually playing all of it in its full context and not just like reading translations of what's going on, because I really do like a lot of the concepts and a lot of the phantom idols, or like the new phantom thieves that you get to recruit in the game specifically. They all have like some pretty good designs. The Persona 2 duos that they have is actually pretty interesting as well. And
Yeah, I've been.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you can go first.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of been intentionally avoiding anything like actually related to the story and such, because in case of a global release, I didn't want to get anything spoiled ahead of time of what might be going on in the story, but I have seen some of the original character designs, and God, they look cool, and I really want to know more about them.
Yeah. And lastly, I guess, is maybe a new mainline Sonic game news. Maybe we'll just get something for next year, and maybe some more, and maybe a Persona 6 announcement. I mean, that one's a super long shot, but maybe we might get something for that.
That would be so nice too.
Nice. Yeah.
And do you have any hopes for 2025, Adam?
Oh boy, it's the same hope as it's been for the last 15 years.
I have a
Double
feeling.
Yeah, Double Fine. Please give me a Brutal Legend 2 announcement. It is my favorite game of all time. Arguably the most metal game of all time. For those who don't know, I will try to summarize this best I can. Brutal Legend is basically a heavy metal game that stars Jack Black. He goes back in time to the age of metal, kills demons alongside Rob Halford, Lemmy Kilmister, Ozzy Osbourne, and it's a whole mess of genres. It's open world, it's hack and slash, it's racing, it's RTS. You'd think all those elements would be a bit of a mess. It's not. It's bloody beautiful. And I have been waiting since 2009 for a sequel, and it has not come yet. So Double Fine, please, Brutal Legend 2, or at least whatever you're working on next, because I know. I've been watching their documentary on the making of Psychonauts 2, Psych Odyssey, which I highly recommend if y'all want any insight into game development. Like, they are so raw and so honest about it. But apparently they are working on some stuff, and they are, quote unquote, trying to make games that investors would say no to. So whatever they're working on, it's bound to be batshit crazy the way Tim Schafer intended. That would be nice, but Brutal Legend 2, you know? One of these days, months, years, decades. Release Brutal Legend 2 before I die, please.
I was about to say.
But me sold on it though now. I have to give it a shot to look at it.
It's on Game Pass. And if not Game Pass, it is dirt cheap. I've been to gaming conventions. I have seen Brutal Legend run for $3.
Wow.
It is criminal. Is that criminally underrated?
Now I
Yes.
forget, is this one only Xbox, or is it also on PC?
It is on Xbox. It is on Steam. If you're really desperate, it's on PS3. But obviously, with Double Fine being owned by Microsoft, the Sony support's been iffy.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
it is readily accessible if you have Xbox or Steam.
Fair enough.
I also would like to quickly add a couple other things I just remembered about for games that are still stuck on their original consoles I would love to see come back in one form or another.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I would love to see the original two Dissidia Final Fantasy games come back.
Oh my god, you're right. Those are stuck on PlayStation Portable.
Yes, they're genuinely like two of the best fighting games I have ever played, and I'm not just saying this as a Final Fantasy fan. Like, I love these games to death. I spent hours on them when I was a teenager, and fantastic soundtracks too. And they've been stuck on the PSP for a very, very, very long time.
That's an unfortunate place to be stuck in.
Yeah. And also kind of a very, very rare game that I just remember about every now and again, and I never got the chance to play this one either. It's stuck on the GameCube, so whether it comes to the possibly announced a GameCube emulator for Switch or Switch 2, or Sega themselves releases it, because it is technically a Sega property.
Mhm.
I would love to see the return of Billy Hatcher.
Oh
and
my
I would love to
God.
see I would love to see a remaster of this game, because the only experience I've had with it is a very old demo disc on the GameCube, and I've never played the full game. I would love to fully experience this somehow.
Man, I never beat that game. That is a sin I'll probably wear to my dying day.
Yeah, from what I can recall from playing the demo, it seemed very fun.
Well, Sega's been on a remaster/remake kick recently, or reboot kick rather. So maybe
One could hope.
one could hope.
Yeah.
I mean, there wouldn't be any licensing issues as far as I know.
I don't think so, because I think it's a Sonic Team property. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
I
exactly.
think it is, yeah.
I guess the only.
Oh,
I
for
think.
that matter, Nights in the Dreams would be great.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Oh, yeah.
That would be really nice, wouldn't it?
I've heard very good things about Knights.
I have the Wii game, and I still have the Steam version of the Sega Saturn game.
Oh,
yeah,
I didn't know.
yeah, that's where it originated, Sega Saturn.
Cool. I am not wrong about shit. Great.
I did not know it was on Steam. I'll need to take a look.
It's
Yeah.
hopefully it's not delisted by now.
Yeah, I think they re-released it on 360 PS3. I remember playing it on Xbox at some point.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. That makes sense. If you're looking for Steam, I know that Sega's been kind of on a big delisting kick recently too. So cross your fingers.
Yes. Ooh, and another big one for me, and I know a lot of people are with me on this.
Yeah.
Banjo 3.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't there like rumors about that last year? Something like that?
Phil Spencer acknowledged it. It's like, okay, Banjo fans, we hear you, and then that was the last we've ever heard about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Oh, actually, kind of on the platform train a little bit, that I just popped in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Sly Cooper has been getting so much love in 2024.
Oh my god.
I would love a new Sly Cooper announcement, whether it be Sly 5 or like a reboot or remake of like Sly 1.
I think we know. I think me and Adam would know a friend who would really like that.
Yes, absolutely.
I've been introducing a couple friends of mine to the Sly Cooper franchise. We just finished Sly 1 yesterday. So, and yeah, it's been very fun going back to experience this series again, and it's another one of my all-time favorites. And honestly, with the amount of love it's been getting, and Sony themselves saying that they want to revive old franchises.
Yeah, I heard that one recently. I heard that one.
There's a chance.
Oh yeah.
There's a chance.
I do have the Sly Cooper and Jack and Daxter games on my PlayStation 3, so I got those recently, so I should also play those this year.
I actually recommend the recently released emulated versions on PS4 and PS5 for the original trilogy.
I heard they're not that great from what I heard.
I'm not sure about the PS4 versions, but the PS5 has been functioning pretty well for me.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, especially with one particular boss fight in Sly 1 that's very infamous on the PS3 version. So I would say play the PS5 versions over the PS3 collection.
Is that Is that a separate purchase, or is it that I need a subscription thing to get it?
You can actually purchase them for $10 each.
Gotcha. Awesome. I'll try
Yes.
those out later. I'll
Yes.
figure something out. But what were you gonna say, Adam?
Well, I was gonna say, speaking of PS3 or PlayStation era revivals, I know Lady Violet would absolutely kill me if I did not mention Naughty Dog. I know you're working on something new. It looks absolutely great. But Jack and Daxter, please.
Yep. I finally finished Jack 2 for the first time in 2024. So Jack 3 is up next on the list, and yeah, I agree. I think a Jack and Daxter revival is much needed.
Also Infamous.
Infamous, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I still need to play the classic ones. I've only ever played Second Son.
I've still got to play those two as well. I do have physical copies of those on PlayStation 3. So
Nice.
yeah, let's hope. Those are a lot of hopes for 2025.
Lots of revival hopes.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
you'd print money with those revivals, even if they're bad.
Oh yeah.
It's been 15 years.
It's easy profit to bring back old beloved franchises.
Okay, I think with that, that's about all we got to talk about. Unless we got something that you guys want to bring up real quick before we end this off.
I think we've covered our bases.
I think so.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
if anything,
yeah.
I at least hope that they can bring some kind of Viva Pinata back. I want to relive
Ooh.
my childhood.
That'd
I
be
don't know
cool.
why. Yeah, it was a weird game to first look at and actually enjoy. But I don't know. It's just a weird game that I feel like if I ever see in the future, I don't know. I would gladly just eat my own shoe because I was like, that was enough of a game. As a game I played as a kid. I don't know. That's about all.
Great. Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you, Jacer. Okay. And with that, I think we're going to wrap it up for tonight. Thank you all so much for coming in for the chat, like typing in the chat and like engaging with us as we look back on 2024, as well as like all the awesome stuff that we're hoping that will be in 2025. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank all three. I would like to thank all three of you. Thank you, Oath. Thank you, Jacer, and thank you, Adam, for all coming on to my podcast for this little stream and like just reminiscing about 2024 gaming.
Oh, of course. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
Yes.
likewise. It's always fun.
It's fun every time. Always happy to come back on here.
Do you guys have any final thoughts for final thoughts and plugs that you guys want to put in before we end tonight?
Well, I have a Twitch channel. It is AdamCrow Gaming. And yeah, also as far as like knowing when I go live, I have various avenues for that. I have Blue Sky, I have Twitter, I have Mastodon. You look up AdamCrow Gaming, boom, there I am. You'll probably see this lovely little image of me with the muscles and the mask, and yep, that's how you know it's me. And I stream every day, and usually it's a different game every day, so you get some variety. And tomorrow, funny enough, it's gonna be another Craft's Treasure. So. Hey.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully I get to see you all there.
And Jacer, do you have any?
Yeah. Just some gremlin that lurks in the internet somewhere, Jacer Maru. Have any from socials of like the I'm never calling an X, but Twitter, Blue Sky, Twitch, all that jazz. If you want to see someone get angry and probably not do very well with puzzles, and even though they claim they hate horror, we'll probably do them because that's quite literally all my That's all people want to watch me do nowadays for some reason. Yeah, feel free.
It works for Markiplier, right?
I definitely, well, at least some people get enjoyment out of it. I'll be honest, no, but yeah, feel free to check it out if you want. I am looking into doing more projects of sorts. I still can't really say because some I don't know the details of so much, and some I'm also working on relating to voice stuff. But we shall see in the future. Who knows? I may talk about it more. But yeah, that's where you can find me. Feel free to check in if you do or don't want to. No promises on completing things because I have sporadic kind of times when I stream. So yeah, feel free to look about if you'd like.
And Oath, is there anything that you would like to say before we end tonight?
Well, I haven't been particularly active in terms of content creation for a little while now. However, if you still would like to follow me for any potential future projects, my Twitter is OathKeeper94, spelled with 2 E's and 2 P's. My still building on it, but my Blue Sky is one called Oath, and that is my YouTube channel as well. But yeah, any potential future content creation that you might be interested in, feel free to follow me on those. But yeah, otherwise, or if you just want to chill and hang out, that's perfectly fine too. I would like to think I'm a pretty chill person to vibe with. But yeah, otherwise, have a great night all, and happy gaming 2025. Let's hit those gaming goals.
Yes.
Hey.
And if you want to catch my stuff, you can find me at this channel here, Terravancer Yo, where I am still working on a 2E abridged series with Oath here as she plays a few characters, as do I play some roles here and there. I am mostly the editor and director for it. But if you want to catch me on other sites, I've got a Blue Sky as well. You can find that at I'm always not sure about which one I used. Yes, it's also at terravanceryo.bluesky.social. And then if you want to catch me on Twitter, it is at TauTruths. So, and yeah, that's about it. So, thank you everyone for tuning in as we looked back on 2024. Stay healthy and have a fantastic night. Have a good one.